don't think a lot of people realize just how close we came to utter calamity.
I want an ice cream. How quickly would I... That sends an ice cream.
Whoopsie, as of course that should be the motto for the Biden administration that truly brought us to the brink of utter world calamity and Armageddon. And now we have this larger doomsday clock coming out with some very interesting information as Tucker Carlson is coming out with this bombastic claim that Biden tried to take out and assassinate Putin. Whoa, what's really going on here is, of course, there's a lot of connections to make here, specifically with what happened to Donald Trump, since, of course, there was 2 attempted assassination attempts on his life. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, as, of course, we have to delve into the larger security threats as Trump is making some major moves that worries a lot of people who are paying attention to the larger details at play here that, if you really do correlate, signal that he is preparing for something pretty big here. All of this as the doomsday clock just ticked forward to 89 seconds, closer to midnight and the probability of a, quote, global disaster. Now, there's a lot of physicists, data scientists that are coming to these larger conclusions, and my initial reaction to this was, really? Donald Trump is literally talking about bringing peace towards the Middle East, towards Europe. He's talking about getting rid of all nuclear weapons on the face of this earth. And you're going to tell us under his kind of presidency, we're closer to a larger calamity more than ever? Well, I thought about it at first, and I was like, maybe there's something to this, as Donald Trump just signed an executive order building an Iron Dome for America. Now, if you don't know what an Iron Dome is, it is larger defensive missile capability systems that would prevent next-generation weapons to be flown and used inside of the United States, as this executive order specifically is going to be copying the Israeli Iron Dome that your tax dollars are paying for. And since we're paying for somebody else's Iron Dome, why don't we have it ourselves? And Donald Trump's like, yeah, we're going to have it ourselves, as a lot of military strategists and politicians are saying this is directly to counter advanced threats from Russia, China, and North Korea. Now, Donald Trump is negotiating peace, but during these types of negotiations, it does look like there are some troubles afoot here, as he has now threatened Vladimir Putin with more sanctions and more tariffs. He has threatened Volodymyr Zelensky with an audit, which should scare the crap out of both of these Slavic men and bring them closer to the negotiation tables. But it definitely doesn't look like things are going as smoothly as Donald Trump has previously claimed it would go, as there's a lot of different stipulations, a lot of different things at play here, and getting 2 people to come to the negotiation table and to agree to things that they don't want to agree to is very difficult. I don't care how much art of the deal books you have written. This is an extremely complicated situation that involves not just a lot of emotion, but a lot of history, convoluted, complicated history that now is going to be somehow unfolded, somehow unraveled, and made good when Europe, again, Ukraine is essentially the Afghanistan of Europe. It is where a lot of the major historical battles have been fought, a lot of blood has been shed, and kind of trying to take that genie and put it back into the bottle, it's going to be a lot more difficult than a lot of people expect it to be. And let's be real here, if negotiations fail, both sides understand it's war. It's serious war. It's more serious war than ever, especially with some of the larger kind of bombastic talk from Donald Trump. And I could expect some more retaliations, some more escalations, especially when negotiations fail. You could absolutely expect major escalations inside of that larger theater of war that represents the East and the West fighting each other. So, maybe when we're looking at it from that perspective, the doomsday clock prepper people might have something that they're actually talking about, as Donald Trump looks like he is not waiting for anyone and creating American defensive systems, while also now embarking the FBI on nuclear war exercises in New York City, as the Mirror reports that fears grow of a potential global conflict with Russia. Now, again, this correlates automatically. What I'm thinking about here is that video I did as soon as these drones came up on the northeast of the United States, and everyone was kind of very oddly talking out of the both sides of their mouth about it. Everyone was saying, it's Russia, it's Iran, it's China, it's the Koreans, it's aliens, it's interdimensional creatures, or it's lost nuclear suitcase weapons that could, of course, be somewhere out there on the East Coast, and these drones could be scanning for them. That was the larger theory that was kind of prevailed here. And seeing this kind of exercise, this kind of war game, specifically with organization that has been known to be very politically corrupted and hijacked recently, is something that should be on our radar, especially since a lot of their nuclear war exercises are kind of pointless. As if it's a nuclear war, it's the end of the world. But what most likely they are practicing and drilling for is if there was a small nuclear weapon that would have been detonated. How do you deal with the fallout? How do you deal with the survivors? How do you deal with a lot of kind of important people inside of New York City that you're going to try to extract away from there, not to deal with the larger kind of chaos and panic and larger disarray that would happen from all of this? And the FBI prepping for these types of stuff does kind of put up a lot of alarm bells for a lot of people, understanding the larger capabilities of what would happen if there was an all-out kinetic war, or a lunatic that just enters the southern border with Biden opening up the doors for them and being able to carry out some of these attacks, as there are multiple lost nuclear weapons and lost nuclear materials that even the United States have lost themselves. So we're dealing with a lot of extraordinary threats, since we're also dealing with an extraordinary president of the United States who isn't afraid to ruffle some feathers, isn't afraid to call out the military-industrial complex, to call out a lot of the bigger kind of powerful entities out there, as he's also supporting the military-industrial complex. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest here. When you're building an Iron Dome, you're giving the military-industrial complex a lot. Let's just hope there's some kind of oversight. Let's hope there's some kind of investigation. Let's hope there's at least some kind of transparency, since the military-industrial complex has been taking advantage of the American taxpayer for far too long, as, of course, a lot of the prices that we are paying for are egregious. Look at the Russian war machine and how they've been utilized, and how fast and how quickly and how cheaply they produce munitions, comparatively to how America does it. And America is shooting itself in the foot many times by socializing this larger industry that clearly has had it too good for too long. Now, with this larger prepper event, this brings me to this next story of just how close we came to calamity. And that, of course, is Tucker Carlson coming out and saying that the United States, that Joe Biden tried to take the life of Vladimir Putin. Yes, you heard that correctly. Here's the clip, because it's fascinating to listen to, important to listen to, with the larger kind of context here of understanding the larger geopolitical ramifications of this all.
One of the reasons that Tony Blinken was pushing so hard for a real war, trying to kill Putin, for example, which the Biden administration did. They tried to kill Putin.
Really?
Yes. Yes, they did.
Wow.
Which is insane. If, like, okay, so who takes over Russia?
Right.
And what happens to the nuclear arsenal in a country that's like so complex, outsiders can't even understand? I mean, you live there, you know. Like, that's demented that you would even think of something like that.
Absolutely.
So why were they? Because chaos is a screen that protects them. I mean, I don't know this. That's just like watching what they're doing. I'm like, why would they be doing that? Part of it is because, like, it's like when you're taking off the roof of the embassy in Saigon, you burn all the papers, right?
Absolutely.
But they can't, because they're digital. So maybe you need like a war to hide your tracks.
Or to keep the public's attention.
That's what I mean.
Elsewhere.
Same
right.
thing,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. I had the same fears, and that was part of my thinking when they started, approving the firing of American missiles into Russian territory and British missiles and French missiles. I'm like, why would you do, like, what possible reason would there be to do this? You're not really going to make any military gains by doing this. So you're doing it either to provoke the other side or to create a headline. The headline, I don't think it gets you.
Yeah, as that was a crazy time to be alive, seeing this kind of tit-for-tat escalation, seeing these larger, major attacks that were absolutely horrendous, that were absolutely awful to see, as the trajectory was clear. It wasn't any kind of strategy here. It was total war. Blow things up. Let's see how far we could piss them off. And then, of course, they would retaliate and be like, how dare you retaliate? I'm like, do you see what you're doing here? Now, this assertion by Tucker Carlson that probably is backed by insiders within the government that are now whistleblowing to him through, of course, all the backdoor dealings and conversations that he has with them, probably is true. I'll tell you why in a little bit. Before we do, we wanted to remind people to check out SaveLukcom, an actual website, my website, a website that is trying to build up support so we survive financially, as we took a major financial blow from the IRS in October of 2024. Wow, gee, I wonder why that happened. As we were dealing with a lot of very difficult situations, we're selling a lot of limited edition products. You could still get some of the products; they're still available on SaveLukcom with a little bit of a kind of premium there. We also just had a very fascinating podcast conversation with a lot of people from the Monero team, as Douglas Tuman came on yesterday and helped us set up xmrchat.com/wearechange, a way for us to take Monero cryptocurrency to support us, to donate to us, which we're going to be putting up on our website along with Bitcoin, since now, you know, it's actually safe to do so, and you don't have to worry about the full might of the U.S. federal government going after you for embracing a new kind of technology that, of course, we're going to be making publicly available once again as truly alternative currencies, Bitcoin, and a lot of other kind of innovations here, especially in the tech center, are the way forward to move, in my opinion, as Donald Trump has even started his own meme coin, highlighting and showing everyone to the world, hey, it's safe now. Now we can have our Pepes, we can have our memes, we could have whatever we want. Let the market decide. I kind of like that. It's the Wild West. We're going to be embracing not just Monero, but Bitcoin, of course, and setting up new wallets where people could, of course, directly go and support us and be there with us, as our store soon also will be taking cryptocurrency for all of our great products available on wearechange.shop. So don't forget to support us, especially if you are in the cryptocurrency Monero community. We appreciate all of you guys. As let's delve into this larger topic of discussion here, as if you remember, not so long ago, the corporate media, the Biden administration, and a lot of other Western leaders were saying, we got to get rid of Putin. We got to make Putin step down. We got to get rid of him. If we get rid of him, everything's going to be fine. This war's going to be over. Putin's the bad guy. If we just get rid of him, everything else will be perfect. Everything will be hunky-dory. It'll be sunshine and rainbows. In reality, that is a sociopathic, crazy, insane way of thinking, because if you remember what happened with Iraq, another kind of state filled with many kind of sections of the world, many kind of religions, many kind of sects, when you look at what happened when they had one strong leader that was kind of keeping them all together, it created a huge vacuum of power. It created global jihadism. It created ISIS. It created absolutely devastating, horrible situation that wreaked havoc on the lives of a lot of Iraqi innocent people. It has also allowed Iran to become that much more powerful. Now, if you look at Russia and its population and its different kind of sects of people, if you had the fall of that one kind of strong central leader, oh boy, you could have that times 100. Now imagine the global scale of kind of devastation, of sectarian violence, of vacuums of power, of people vying and fighting for each other. We saw this on even small micro levels when it comes to criminal organizations in Mexico. There used to be one kind of really kind of strong leader in Guadalajara that kind of was ruling everything. The U.S. government took him out, and then small factions started to fight, and that's where we saw a lot of the violence kind of unfold. So essentially, a lot of people calling for the end of Vladimir Putin would mean a lot of crazy, tumultuous circumstances and events that would be devastating for the world many times over, not just that particular region. And to have these individuals,
I think that's
like the Biden administration, literally call for it is just absolutely sociopathic. And with the way that they were acting, it wouldn't surprise me if everything Tucker Carlson is saying is absolutely 100% on par. And that's the type of individuals we were thinking. That's the type of individuals we were dealing with. Sociopathic, crazy individuals that would have watched the world burn as they suckle on their ice cream. Again, there's no other way to explain it. Matt Taibbi also perfectly explained it, talking about the larger escalations here, being like, yeah, there was no purpose to them. There was really no reason for them to be launching these advanced military missile systems into Russia other than to try to provoke it, other than trying to piss them off. And there was a lot of restraint showed by the Russians here. Let's just be honest. Yes, they started the war. Yes, they're the aggressor here. But when it came to the larger kind of escalatory tensions that were created by the Biden administration all the way up, even after they lost the election, they showed an incredible amount of restraint, since they demonstrated many red lines that Anthony Blinken, the U.S. State Department, and Joe Biden just knowingly just kind of trampled on willingly. As now Trump is dealing with a lot of people within his own government that, he's finding out who he could trust, who he cannot trust, who he's firing a lot of people. He's freezing a lot of foreign aid except for Israel and Egypt, as he has a kind of weird plan there that a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads about. But I think more importantly here, the larger geopolitical picture, as later talked about by Matt Taibbi and Tucker Carlson, is that we're dealing with a different Trump, since Trump is just absolutely livid that, there was 2 assassination attempts on his life. Something like that would change your life. And who was responsible for that assassination attempt? Well, it's pretty clear, deeper elements of the bureaucracy, the deep state, the intelligence agencies that worked hand in hand with Joe Biden. As it's fair to say, the United States government, the deep state, Joe Biden didn't just want to assassinate Putin. I think it's also fair to assume here that they wanted to take out Donald J. Trump. Otherwise, why are we not having any kind of conclusive evidence or theory or understanding of why these larger assassination attempts even happened in the first place? Why don't we have answers? Why don't we have a clear understanding of what actually led up, of the motive of these people that tried to take a life of Donald Trump after, of course, he was attacked by the media? That didn't work. He was vilified by them. He had the state go after him. He had the federal government go after him. He had his home raided. He faced multiple investigations. He was prosecuted. He was found guilty. He was facing 700 years in jail. All of that didn't work. And every time you attacked him, you made him more and more popular. And if you're dealing with an administration that's at a wit's end and can't figure out what else to do, what better way than to just take him out? And I think that's legitimately what happened here, and there's a lot of circumstantial evidence highlighting that. If you agree with that, share this video, as this is something that probably is going through the mind of Donald Trump right now, saying, these guys tried to off me. As now Tucker Carlson is coming out saying they also tried to off Vladimir Putin. And this is the way that a lot of these intel agencies that believe that they're too powerful act. And that should be worrying, as Donald Trump should deal with them immediately. And that's one reason out of many reasons why I keep arguing that he should be releasing the Epstein client list immediately, in order to defang and take away a lot of the extortion power that they have within government, within entertainment, within media, to absolutely put them in check and call for larger kind of acts of transparency, like the Church Commission hearings that should happen once again. If these nominations happen this week with Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., and Kash Patel, we are going to be seeing a new form of government that we have never seen. We already are seeing a new form of government that we never seen before. But this is the most important aspects here. These next Senate hearings are going to be crucial. Pay attention to them. We're going to be paying attention to them as there's a lot at stake here. A lot of things happening behind the scenes. A lot of inner workings that we have to delve into, look into, and be extremely skeptical of. Click subscribe, click the notification button. We're going to be returning to you in just a few hours from now with another show, all exclusively here on youtube.com/wearechange. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more.